Hi, welcome to the Mohua Show. My name is Mohua Chinappa and I am an author, entrepreneur and ex-housewife. This podcast is about everything from business to technology to arts to lifestyle, but done and spoken ईमानदारी से. The death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini in Iran has left women across the world shocked with this barbaric act. This crime was perpetrated in the name of religious laws that unfortunately till date remain skewed towards women. These atrocities are committed to set an example for other women to not dare defy the rules. Hi, in today's episode we have Arif Hussain. Arif is an ex-homeopath, ex-Muslim. Yes, you heard me right. He's an ex-Muslim, a full-time science enthusiast and a communicator, entrepreneur, and president of the Non-Religious Citizens Organization, Kerala. So Arif, before I begin, when we spoke last time, you spoke to me about being an ex-Muslim. Do you really think that this is a certain kind of an anti-Islamic propaganda that people would really like to create and bring about an anti-Islam bigotry? Because honestly, the real changes can't be attributed to the regular Muslims. I mean, I have so many Muslim friends and every Muslim is not a Taliban because this is something that will get everybody excited, when we talk about being an ex-Muslim I don't think too many people in India really know about this. Also, we can't categorize every Muslim as violent. I think it's rather uneducated to do that. Also know that the vast majority of Muslims don't act against another religion. So what prompted you to become an ex-Muslim?
Thank you, Moa, for inviting me here and for this wonderful podcast. Anyway, if I go straight to your question, there's a confusion which is underlying in your question itself. So I would like to clear that first before attempting to answer that. How about that?
Yes, please do that. I am confused because I don't think too many people have heard about, ex-Muslims in India at all. We've heard of something like this that's happening in the US. But yes, so please clear my confusion.
When we talk about Islam and when we criticize something that is put forward by these Islamists or the people who we call as jihadis or Taliban or any such names which we call these days, or when we see all these atrocities committed by them in any other part of the world, whether it be from ISIS or Al-Qaeda or any other terrorist organization, we always, at the end of the day, we come to the conclusion that Islam is the problem. You might have heard that, right?
Absolutely. I so agree with you because this comes from my heart. The closest of my friends are Muslims, and I just think that there's such a bias because, like I said right in the beginning, that every Muslim is not a Taliban,
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when I was a believer, I used to get this same feeling, like when we hear some bad news, some kind of terrorist attacks or something like that from any part of the world, the first feeling that comes to our mind is that how come these people do all these things in the name of religion, that too a religion which is known for peace. So that was the first notion that comes to us. And the next statement that is made by us or made by me itself was that I'm not a terrorist and this is not Islam. And this is not the Islam which I have learned or which I am practicing. These are the comments which I used to make. And these are the comments which every normal Muslims, which you were mentioning that your Muslim friends, including them, they might be making even today. So this is the normal thing which happens all over the world today. And apart from that, when we criticize Islam by any of these critics of Islam, whether it be ex-Muslims or be liberalists or whether it be any free thinkers or any other people or even from other religion, if they come forward and they criticize Islam for all these problems, then the first word which is used by them is Islamophobia. You are creating Islamophobia. You are creating a bigotry. You are creating an anti-Islam sentiment and you are trying to vilify or demonize the Muslims. These are the statements which we hear. And this is the question which you asked me as well, right?
Yes.
So in that case, we need to clarify one thing. That is, we are talking about, or when we criticize Islam, we are criticizing Islam as an ideology, not as a race or as a people. We are criticizing Islam as an ideology, and we are not criticizing Muslims, right? I think that part is clear. So now comes, what is then this Islamophobia, or what is the exact intent while you make all these criticism? What is the point?
Islamophobia is a very Western word. I mean, there cannot be a phobia against a religion.
No, not
Yeah, you can
exactly.
have phobia. Phobia is a fear. I don't fear every Muslim that I meet. So it's such a,
Yeah,
it's such a westernized word that I think so many of us, we don't even think when we use those words. And it's being used liberally all over.
I can clear that. I can make it
Yes, I
clear.
would really like our listeners to know that this
Yeah.
is a wrong word.
Yeah,
You know?
Islamophobia. First thing is that it's not a Western. It might be an English word, that's for sure. There's no doubt in that. But Islamophobia is present in Quran itself. Okay, the person or the ideology which put forward Islamophobia is Islam itself. It's there in the Quran, which says that I will instill fear to the people in the minds of the people. So go and kill them. These are the words mentioned in the Quran. I'm not telling the exact verses right now, but these are the words mentioned in the Quran, which says exactly the same thing. And this is said just to promote killing and to promote the people who are the followers of Muhammad those days, and to encourage them to go for fighting and to conquer the adjacent tribes and to loot them and raid them and to capture their
Convert them
women.
also, right?
No, converting them to Islam is just the last resort.
Okay.
That means their main aim to raid these tribes is to capture their wealth. That's the main aim of these raids. So in that process, if any of those persons they want to stay alive, their only way out in front of them is to just convert to Islam. That's the escape window for them. So if they don't want to die, the only thing is to say kalima. So they can convert to Islam and say that Allah, la ilaha illallah. That means Allah, there's no God except Allah, and Muhammad Rasulullah. That means Muhammad is the messenger of the God. So I'm with you. Okay, so you are not going to get killed. You will be with my men, and you can join me, and you can join me for the next raid, and we'll raid the next tribe together. That's the message. So this is the process that happens. So when we say that all the battles which the Muslims or the Islamic scriptures mentions, they are not actually battles. They are raids. Those were conducted over other tribes, right? So this is the whole picture. So Islamophobia is a word or is an idea put forward by Allah Himself. So this is in the Islamic scripture itself. So that word is, I think that's clear. And now comes the second part of that. That is, we need to make it clear, this aspect, that we are criticizing Islam. We are not anti-Muslim. Muslims are just the victims of this ideology. They are not realizing that this is a demonized ideology which can make them inhuman, which can make them misogynistic, which can make them immoral and can commit any kind of atrocities, or they can even indulge in crimes, various crimes, and even they can become a suicide bomber. These are the broad examples or the broad ideas which we can take from all these scriptures.
Coming back to misogyny, just share with our listeners as to which part really bothers you about
Misogyny.
Yes, about misogyny in the religion.
Okay. Have you heard about Islamic feminism?
No, I've not heard about Islamic feminism.
Okay, that's the biggest joke of this millennium. Okay, that means there's a movement called Islamic feminism, because the Islamists or the people who try to defend Islam, they know that, and please note this word, Islamist means the people who defend Islam, or the
Islamists are the ones who defend Islam.
Defend Islam, or the apologetics of Islam.
Okay.
Okay, they try to defend either by debates or by weapon. Both ways they can do that. And if they do it by weapon, we say that they are jihadis. We call them. That word is also very common. we know who are jihadis. So I use this term Islamist often to denote both these people, both the jihadis and the apologetics. Okay, apologetics. You mean? I think you might be knowing that one who is always keen to rationalize the problems in Islam by giving some modern versions, like it's like a whitewashing attempt. They try to uh, make it look better. Okay, actually, it's not better.
Okay.
It's not good at all, but they try to make it look better. So we call them apologetics. So
Okay.
both these groups, we call them together Islamists. Okay. So Islamists, they know well about the movements that is happening all over the world, that is feminism. We know that what is feminism, and
Yes.
the core idea of feminism is for bringing equality and the equity for the women population all over the world. So that's the broad idea of feminism. In that case, people often say that in Islam or in you take any other religion, there's misogynistic aspects in every other religion.
Every religion is misogynistic
every religion.
towards women.
And I don't
It
say
is-
that Islam is the most misogynist. I don't say that, but
Yes.
there are worse misogynistic aspects in other religions.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, but the problem here is that no other religion brag about their superiority over other religion like Islam does in this world today. That's one
Okay.
reason. So when we look outside, you can see this word that is Islamic feminism. You won't hear about Christian feminism, or you won't hear about any Jewish feminism or any Buddhist feminism. You won't hear that, but you can hear Islamic feminism. What these Islamic feminists say is that the people in Islam, there are certain misogynistic aspects or oppressive aspects in Islam against the women, which we can clearly see today in Afghanistan, that we are seeing today.
Yes.
That there are the different women who are in different professions, they are getting outlaid and they are not able to visit their schools and colleges, and they are
Yes.
forced to sit inside. They are forced to wear the burqa, and all such things are being forced upon them against their will. That's what we see today. And we say that that's something which we call as oppressive towards the women. So in that case, these Islamists, they come forward and they say that this is not oppression. This is not oppression which you see as it is in these places like in Afghanistan. This is something which Islam gives them as a protection, or as a means to help them to achieve something. These are the different versions given by them. And for that, they give a lot of explanations, a lot of funny explanations, I would say. So in that case, we, the critics of Islam, especially the ex-Muslims, we come forward and we take out each and every scriptural evidence which is present in all these scriptures, in this Quran, in Hadith, and in other textbooks, and we take it out and we put it in front of them to read and to contemplate about all those things. And I'll give you certain examples.
Yes, it'll be lovely for our listeners to know.
Yeah,
an
definitely.
example, yes.
Yeah. So one thing is that in Islam, a woman's intellect is half of that of a man. That's what the Prophet says. There's a hadith. It says like this: "O woman, you have to donate." The Prophet was accepting some alms during a Friday prayer or some gathering out there. So during that time, the Prophet approached these women and he asked these women to donate to this charity. At that point, they were not willing to donate as it is, because you know that women were not employed those days. So they were just reluctant to donate in a bountiful manner. So they were just reluctant to do that. So at that point, Prophet was saying to them, "Oh Aisha," Aisha was asking so he was telling Aisha that, "Oh Aisha, donate to this charity in plenty, because when I went to that skydiving exercise, I could see the hell, and the most number of people in the hell was women. And so you have to donate in plenty. And there are two other reasons. Because Aisha asked, why we are in plenty in the heaven, in the hell. So he was telling, there are two reasons. One is you are deficient in your prayers and in your rituals. That's one reason. And you are deficient in your intellect. You are half the intellect of a man. And so Aisha was clueless about what he was telling, and she was asking him, what are you saying? How do you say that we are having half the intellect of a man? So the Prophet was telling her that, you know that while giving witness for some crimes, the witness of one man equals the witness of two women. That's how the witness in Islam is counted. So she asked, okay, agreed. So what is the deficiency in our prayers or in our rituals, in our that kind of the belief related aspects? So he was telling, you have this menstrual cycle every month, and you cannot pray or you cannot do these rituals for about 5 or 10 days. So that means you are having some deficiency there as well. So you are more prone to go to hell than to heaven. So you have to pay more, you have to donate more. This is one reason. That's one example. So when we say this, a common woman, a present day woman, she cannot accept that. Would you accept this? When somebody says that your intellect is half of that of man,
Not at all. I will not.
you won't
No,
agree to
yeah,
that.
Not at all. Yes.
Yeah, but in Islam, it's said like that, and it's said by not like a common person. He's not an ordinary person. He's a person who is the model for the whole of the humanity, and he's a timeless model, which we claim as the Prophet. And he's telling all these. I'm not able to use those words, but these are the things which he preaches always. So just imagine, how come a person can agree to a woman can agree to all these things? So this is one thing which I would like to give. And there's one more example I would like to give. In Islam, misogyny can be seen in different manner. And one is this, which I've already mentioned here. The second manner is that in Islam, woman is not counted as a person or as a human being, right? Because in Islam, a woman is a commodity or is a thing in Islam. It's not a being in Islam, right? I'll give you an example.
Why do you say that? Yes.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Because there are certain reasons or certain things, okay, note that word, things, which can annul the prayer. You know, the prayer which the Muslims offer 5 times a day,
Yes.
right? So when we pray in an open space, we have to put something in front of us to mark the boundary of our the praying area, right? So in that case, usually the people just place some paper or some food, even their footwear could be placed in front of them to mark the boundary of that praying space. I hope you get an idea of what I say.
Okay.
Okay, we can call it as a musalla, the praying space. We can call it as
The praying space is called musalla.
Yeah, musalla is that mat which you can see in every Muslim's homes. You can see that. So musalla means the place where we pray, and we have that musalla mats. So if we don't have a musalla mat or something like that, and if we are forced to pray in an open space or anywhere, if there is no boundary in front of us, we have to pray always in front of a wall or something like that to mark the boundary. So if there's nothing like that, or even if there is a boundary, if certain things pass between this boundary and the person who is praying, the prayer get annulled. Okay, it becomes void. It becomes wasteful, right? Okay. So there are 3 things which is mentioned which can annul a prayer. One is a dog, a barking dog, right? The second one is a donkey, and the third one is a woman. Okay.
My God, is that really true?
Yeah, that's a Sahih Hadith mentioned in the Hadith books. In any textbook, you can go and check all these things. And to tell you frankly, I won't give these reference numbers or such things over here, because I want these people, these believers who might be listening to all these things, to go and search for all this information. You can just take out the keywords which I'm telling. You can just search these three words: dog, donkey, woman. You can search three words on Google or certain websites out there. You will get all these hadiths retrieved on that web pages. So you can go and search all these things. And I want you all to be exposed to all the people who are criticizing Islam, not just one person, because you have to be sure that if you are listening to some kind of criticism on Islam, you have to make it sure that that is an authentic information.
It has to be factual, absolutely.
Yeah, it has to be factual. It has to be authentic also.
Just to shift a little bit, Arif, I just need to know about your background. I mean, did you come from very devout Muslim background, and was it a rebellious streak inside you that did it, or was it a personal incident that kind of forced you to, start thinking and questioning something that is such a intrinsic part of your identity?
I don't think that that's a personal affair, because I was a very devout Muslim, and I was doing all these prayers and all such things in a pretty devotedly itself. But at one point of time, after my first divorce, I was just contemplating about the decisions that I was taking, because being a man itself is a privileged position in this society.
Okay? Yes, I agree with you. Yeah. Being a man is a very privileged space in society.
There are
certain yes.
privileges which we have. We can take certain decisions our own, and we can even force the woman to do anything which against her will. All such things could be done in our society today.
Yes.
And if you are a Muslim man, you have even more privileges. Okay. So me being a Muslim man, I was facing this, going through that marital problem, and it ended up in a divorce. And at that point of time, after the divorce, and just before and after the second marriage, I was just thinking over it, whether my decision was right or wrong, whether there was any error that was committed by me, or any such things which might have occurred as a error or as a mistake. I was constantly thinking about that. At that point of time, one day I was just listening to one speech by a person about these misogynistic aspects in Islam. So when there was an idea in me while I was a Muslim husband, is that there's a hadith that says that if a man is asked to make sujood in front of another man, okay, you know what sujood is? Sujood is the prostration. I think our
listeners need to know. Okay.
Yeah, the prostrating action which we do in the prayer. Okay. So that the knees and the arms will be laid on the ground, and our forehead will be touching the ground.
Every prayer actually has that.
Most of the prayers which in every religion you can have different
every
forms
religion
of
different. Yeah.
So in Islam we call it sujood, that action called. So there's a hadith that the Prophet Muhammad is saying that if a man is permitted to do sujood in front of another man, that would be a wife will be asked to do sujood in front of her husband. That's the idea, or that's the holy idea which is present in this hadith, right? So that means doing sujood is in front of a man by another man is forbidden in Islam. Okay. And if somebody is asked to do that, that will be asked by the woman to do in front of her husband. Right? So that you can now imagine how far this goes in Islam, the oppressive statements and the way the wives are handled in Islam. Even you can beat your wife, a husband can beat his wife, and the wife cannot complain, because there's a hadith: if you beat your wife and you shouldn't be asked why you beat your wife. That question is banned. That question is not valid. Okay, you cannot ask a husband why he beat his wife. That's the situation in Islam. So I came to know all these things one by one. So I started learning. So my journey from Islam to the free thinking world was through this misogynistic aspects in Islam. And then I came to the slavery, the another big subject in Islam, which says, or which even today Islam sees this slavery as a halal thing. Halal means it is allowed, or which is
Yes, I
it
know
is
the difference between halal
yeah,
and
halal and
haram.
haram.
Yes,
You might be knowing that.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is halal in Islam even today. So if someday this slavery comes back, the Islam or Islamists would be the first persons who would embrace this slavery in this world. And if
Why
you
is
look at the
slavery? Why is slavery considered halal? I would like our listeners to know from you.
halal in the sense, as I said earlier, I mentioned that woman is not considered as a being, right? The same way, slaves are also not a being; they are also a commodity. Okay, they are a commodity which could be which could be sold, and which could be bought, and which you can exchange, and which you can gift, like that. Even woman is also like that. You can exchange, you can sell, you can buy, you can uh, you can
Yeah, but
gift.
religion also keeps morphing with time. We generally follow because
Mm,
I'm a practicing Hindu,
yeah.
and I do believe that ostracism is not beyond Hinduism too.
Hmm.
We've had sati that has gotten, of course, abolished, and
Right.
even today, women have been oppressed irrespective of religion. I think there's misogyny in every religion. There isn't a single religion, in corporate offices to a day-to-day home. An average Muslim home will not be following the fact that you can beat your wife and you're going to get away, because I think women world over also today are recognizing that it's wrong, right? So why do you feel the need to say that you're an ex-Muslim?
I think you know when we speak about Islam, it's like we see Islam just like every other religion. It's just one among the religions. That's what we always consider, and we believe like that. Even I was just one among them, and I was a believer, and I was thinking that Islam is just a religion. That's what every Muslim is also thinking right now in this world. So the reality is that Islam is not a religion. It is a political cult. It's an outdated political cult. Islam is for politics and
I have
belief.
to repeat your words once again. You said
Yeah,
that Islam is not a religion, it
yeah,
is a political cult that
yeah.
was in the past, right?
Yeah, it was an outdated political
It's an
cult used
outdated
by,
political cult.
yeah,
Okay.
and it was used by some people in the past for gaining power, to be in power, and to conquer people and conquer tribes, and to loot them, and to make them follow, and also all sort of things. And that was common with every other political cults in the world, and every kingdoms, or every other empires in the world, even in the Roman Empire, or you take Byzantine Empire, or everywhere there was a religion inbuilt inside them. So just like that, even in that medieval period in this Arabic world, this Arab world, there was also this beliefs were there, and Islam was just a group of beliefs which was borrowed from the pagan culture, and it was shaped into a different manner later on by the apostles of Muhammad after his death. And most of the hadiths which we read and which we follow today are not the exact words which were recorded during his time. All of them were recorded almost after 200 years after the death of Prophet. How can you believe in such words exist? Because even with all these facilities which we have today, we are not able to recollect what is said by another person in other city, or in maybe in 10 years before. We are not able to recollect. Now you can imagine how a person, one or two people like Bukhari is from Bukhara. It's a city in this Kazakhstan area. And you
Yes.
can imagine how come a person from that area can trace back all the wordings 200 years backward from this Arabia. How is that possible? And he records everything, and it is believed to be true. And now everything is based on that. So that's how this whole idea is existing today. So that's a political cult used by the people who came later on to defend their kingdom and to make people believe and all sort of things. That was what happened. And the another thing is that one of the main features of Islam, which every Islamist always proclaim and they keep on reiterating, is that Islam is a timeless ideology, and it's for the whole of humanity, irrespective of time and place. Right. So that's the one big reason why Islam is not what do you say, palatable, or which is not amenable to all these metamorphoses which we have seen in other religions. You said you
Would
were
you
a,
say that that this is very political in nature, because
yeah.
a lot of people are always using religion for political purposes, and we can see that every day that's happening in front of us. I mean, today there are so many people who really talk about Aurangzeb having destroyed temples, and
Mhm.
but they also use this religion for political purposes, right? Because you have to agree that ISIS would not exist without a political reason. And Afghans were also blown. 1 million Afghans were blown.
Yeah.
And then there is, so many people don't talk about the Wahhabi Muslims who executed other Muslims. It's not this that they executed people from other religions, right? So do you agree with me that this is a very, very political thing, where religion is used, and the average Muslim is not really interested in any of this, apart from the fact that, and not just Muslim, I think it's about all religions where we don't question anything and we follow things like the herd. Do you think that holds true, Arif?
Uh, that's a very broad subject in a sense that uh, we were mentioning about certain things in all this belief system being used in a political reasons, right?
Mm.
But what we are talking is not exactly that same thing. That's not the aspect which we are talking about. We are talking about something which can replace democracy, which can replace secularism. That's what we are talking about, right? So to get a glimpse of that, you can just Google a keyword that Islam versus democracy. You can just Google it. You will get some pictures from all over the world, from UK, from US, from even from Afghanistan. That is, Islam is just opposed to democracy. It cannot coexist. But you can see Islam and democracy is coexisting in our country. How is
Yes,
that?
it is. It exists in India. Yes.
It exists in our country just because most of the people in our country are not Muslims. They are just Muslims by birth. They don't know what Islam is. Islam is exactly what is said by the Jamaat Islami. That is Islam. They say that the supremacy of people is shirk. It is against the will of God, right? So that's something which we should oppose. Democracy is against the will of Allah. So we should not promote that. So that's the reason why Taliban overpowers the elected government, whether even if they were corrupt government, what they are doing is that they are just making true the will of God. They are materializing all such prophecies or ideologies in the scripture because what they have done is they have just materialized the will of God. So democracy is against Islam. You cannot coexist. But we can see people here who coexist, who are vouching for all these secular values. And you can see even many of these Muslims, even they stand shoulder to shoulder with other people for fighting all other problems which we have seen in our country. We have seen the fighting along with our freedom fighters. So the reason is that being an Indian Muslim is something different from actual Islam. So that's one revelation which forced me to leave Islam. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Arif, you and me can go on and on and on, for hours on end. But I would really like to thank you for being in today's episode, because I don't think too many listeners even know about this new movement that has started, and I don't think people know about it. So, thank you so much for being in
Yeah.
today's
One
episode.
thing I would like
Yes.
to just mention a few words about this ex-Muslim movement. Because this is not just what is seen in India. It's a global movement. It's all over the world, and it was started in UK and USA and
It
in
was
Germany.
started by whom?
It was started by a few activists from Iran who were ex-Muslims.
this activism was started by a few Iranians who are
Iranian
ex-Muslims,
ex-Muslims. Yeah.
Iranian ex-Muslims, and then it moved to UK and US and UK,
Actually,
Germany.
these Iranians were actually present in UK because they were on
Okay.
exile, because they were not able to live in their country being an ex-Muslim. Because killing the ex-Muslim is the norm in Islam. That's the rule. Okay. If you are an apostate, kill him. That's the rule in Islam. An ex-Muslim is not supposed to live in this world.
Yes.
As per Islam.
Yes.
So they have to go into exile into other countries. So that's how they came to into Europe. And there are many organizations in Europe, and there's a coalition of different ex-Muslim organizations. And even in India, we have two organizations, and one is ex-Muslims of India, and one is ex-Muslims of Kerala. And we are representing ex-Muslims of Kerala, and we are in touch with the other ex-Muslims from our country, and we are now coalescing with other ex-Muslim organizations world over. So that's how it's progressing.
Wishing you all the best for this
Thank
movement.
you.
And we live in India, so India is going to wake up to anything that is against the value of humanity, against oppression. And this is the reason why I also do my podcast, is I bring to light so many people who are unheard and their voices towards the work that they do. It's been an honor to have you with me today, Arif. And I look forward to meeting you in Bangalore. Thank you so much for being in today's episode.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. To you, our dearest listeners, you can find us on your favorite streaming services, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and of course on all other major streaming services. With loads of love, we are The Mahua Show, where we talk ईमानदारी से.